Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be making an Ten Hag football manager tactic. Ten Hag obviously known for taking the Ajax team to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Unfortunately they did lose to Tottenham in what was one of the best games I think I've ever seen. But that Ajax team was something really special. Obviously now he is taking on a new challenge at Manchester United, which is not going to be an easy job. So hopefully he does as well there, because obviously, you know, I am a United fan. But Ten Hag's football is all about sort of entertaining. It is high press style. He loves to have a lot of the ball, and it is about more, you know, the attacking play of the game. And I feel like I've created a tactic here which suits it very well and pretty much matches it 1-for-1. As always, I am going to be testing it with Ajax and with Manchester United because they are two of his former teams. As I always say, when I, you know, do a manager video like this, I try and recreate their tactics. I will pick two teams from their history and arguably, if I can, most of their, you know, their most recent jobs. So that's why I picked Ajax and Manchester United. But let's get into the first save, which is going to be with Ajax. Well, it's safe to say that the Ajax save went very well. We won the league. Obviously, that is to be expected in this league. But we won it quite dominant. I'm more impressed with the amount of goals that we've scored. We've scored 123 goals, which is very impressive. Only conceding 17 as well. So being ranked best in both categories. Dusan Tadic actually scoring 42 goals this season and getting the most assists as well. So definitely the best player in the side. We also won the Becker Trophy and the Cruyff Shield. So we actually won the treble in our first season. Obviously, as I always say, this one is expected to win the title, is expected with Ajax, but it just felt right to do it with, you know, his former club, such a big part in his career. I just wanted to, you know, replicate that and try and, you know, try and top it. Unfortunately, we didn't have the best run in the Champions League. We did get knocked out by Chelsea, quite a tough draw. But let's go into the schedule then, and let's have a quick look exactly how we done, starting at the top. So we're just going to cover more the losses. So a very humiliating result there to Milan, actually. 4-0 loss to Milan. We scroll down a little bit here. Obviously, a lot of these games you'll see, you don't concede a lot of goals at all. Actually, you know, 7-0 here, 6-0, you know, 4-1, 5-0. A lot of these games you don't even concede. And if you do concede, majority of the time, especially in this division, it does end up being just the one goal. I'm going to go down here. PSV, they're a 1-1 draw. A 1-1 to Sevilla there. Let's go down. So we actually drew the first leg of the Champions League game. But then when it comes to playing them away, we did get battered, which isn't great. So that is definitely something to work on. I would also like to say no signings were made. I never make signings when I do a tactic review because I just don't feel like it's fair. I feel like it would have massively, you know, you could really influence the results by doing that. So that's why I don't do it. We then also, you know, against some of the tougher teams, sort of like Feyenoord, we beat 4-0. And, you know, we didn't really struggle when it comes to the teams in the division. And obviously, I feel like if you are doing an Ajax save, you're not going to expect to be doing, you know, that great in the Champions League first season, especially without making any signings. So it's definitely something which could be improved on if you were playing yourself and you give yourself, you know, maybe a whole transfer window to make signings on. But overall, the schedule looks quite good, you know. We went on quite a big run of results pretty much all the time. There's just the odd upset here and there, and obviously the Chelsea one is the one that really does stand out. And 8-0 there, it really does sort of stand out, and you know that is definitely something which we could have, you know, improved on, possibly with a better squad. But if we actually look at the squad now, let's go with the goals. So obviously Dusan Tadic, what a player he is! 24 assists, 42 goals. 42 goals this guy got. Absolutely incredible. 33. Here are some of his stats. Obviously, he is really good. One of the older players in the Ajax side, but putting up them types of stats, I mean, doesn't matter how old you are, you're putting up them stats. Honestly incredible. Anthony also contributing very well there. 12 assists, 22 goals. A man that Ten Hag could possibly try and bring with him to Manchester United. Darami there with 18 goals, 8 assists. We've got Haller with 16 goals, 5 assists. Berghuis there with 16 goals, 14 assists. Klaassen with 11 and 9 assists. And 14 assists coming from Kudus. So what you guys should be able to see from this is that this tactic isn't based around sort of one man doing everything. It's not sort of like my clock tactic where, you know, the striker doesn't even really get involved. It's more the wingers that are getting the goals. Everyone chips in with this tactic, and it is a really good tactic to use, guys. It's really fun. You see some great, you know, passes of play, great spells of possession, and it just really is a really, you know, well-balanced formation at the end of the day. But that is going to be the first save done. Now, what I'm going to do is, on the second save, I am going to go over a bit more in depth. We're going to watch sort of like a 2D gameplay sort of, you know, transition, because you guys seem to really enjoy that on the clock video, and I'm going to be doing that going forward. So let's hop over into the Manchester United save and see how we done with Ten Hag's new club. Just want to say, guys, if you are still watching at this point, it means the world to me. It really does. We're pretty much posting every day on the channel. So if you do enjoy this video, please leave a like, drop a comment below, and please do subscribe and turn on notifications. But let's get into this Manchester United save. And this is what I mean, guys. With a slightly better team, we absolutely dominated European football with this tactic. This is the ability this tactic has. We win the Champions League, we win the Premier League, we win the FA Cup, we win the Carabao Cup, winning the quadruple, 120 goals scored, best in the category, 26 conceded, best in the category. The bookings aren't the best, but I'm not too fussed with that. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 72 goals within this tactic. Bruno Fernandes averaging an 8.26 match rating with 48 assists. Cristiano Ronaldo, the man that can still do it at the age of 37. What an absolute glitch in the game. He's like a cheat code, this guy. Fair play to him. But this just shows, guys, that this tactic, it can do it, you know, with a team that I honestly feel like even this tactic, if you were to play as sort of like a Leicester or, you know, a West Ham, things like that, you might not win the league, but it's definitely a tactic you can still use and use the best ability, you know, and progress up that table. But if you're a person that does a save with sort of the top 4 teams in each league, you've got a very chance to dominate European football. You really have. You've got a great chance of doing it. But let's break down some of the squad stat. Oh, we're going into the schedule first. We're going to the schedule. So here we go. So we're going to go over the losses because obviously a lot of these games, without bragging, were wins. So I mean, let's go over some of the losses. So Tottenham there, one of the shock losses early on into the season. Obviously the players were still getting used to the tactic. So I'm going to blame it a little bit on that. A couple of draws here against Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. A loss there to Liverpool, but we do so well at bouncing back each time. If you look from that Liverpool loss, look at this. Look at the amount of games we go that are unbeaten. Well, we actually finished off the season going unbeaten. Obviously beating Liverpool there, 3-1 in the Champions League final, 2-0 there against Liverpool in the FA Cup final. And if we go up here, I'm sure we could find an EFL Cup final against Man City. So we literally played Liverpool twice in cup finals and beat them, and Manchester City and beat them 3-2. Now that is one hell of a run, because it's not as if we got blessed with easy teams in the finals either. So this shows that this tactic dominates against big teams as well. So I mean, it's definitely a tactic you guys should be trying out. And as always, just to make it easier, I've always got the tactic in the description, so you guys don't have to copy it word for word, but do, you know, stick around for that, because I do explain how the tactic actually works and you guys can get an understanding for it. But let's quickly go into the squad then. So we know who the top goal scorer is. It's going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, 72 goals, 9 assists. We then go down to Sancho scoring, actually, 30 goals, which is impressive. Rashford with 19, Varane with 16, Bruno with 14, Scott McTominay with 10, and we'll leave it like that for their assists. We've got Bruno getting 48 assists, 20 for Jadon Sancho, 15 for Rashford, 12 for Shaw, 11 for Fred. Who's this? It's even Donny van de Beek chipping in with 10, then a couple of 9s and a 7. Best match ratings obviously going to be from Bruno Fernandes, then Ronaldo, and then Varane. Now, Ronaldo has arguably had one of the best seasons. I think 72 goals is actually the highest amount of goals I've personally seen when I've been playing. Obviously, I know someone's probably done better, but for me, 72 goals has to be one of the best seasons I've ever seen in the Premier League. It is honestly ridiculous. Fair play to him. But if we go over, what I'm going to do now is, because I know you guys enjoyed it and it has been recommended by a couple of people, I am going to go into a game and we're going to watch some 2D gameplay, and I can really point out how this tactic sort of plays out in an actual match situation. So, this is the game I've gone for. Southampton at home in a 5-0 win. We're going to show you sort of, you know, how this exactly lines up and just talk through and go through stuff that I see and how this sort of works, you know. So, Southampton here have a set piece. They whip it in with Stuart Armstrong here. It's very well defended from Maguire. And Bruno Fernandes instantly on that counter-attack with a ball over the top. Obviously, this formation I wouldn't describe as tiki-taka, but Ten Hag does like to have the ball. He likes to have possession, but it's not necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean that it's short, you know, tiki-taka all the time. He does sometimes, you know, like to go long with them passes, as Sancho or Rashford does there. I believe it was Shaw who played that ball into Sancho all the way across, and here's the man that tucks it in at the near post and beats the Southampton goalkeeper, which what looked like to be quite a good goal, to be honest with you. But moving on here, Walker Peters with a throw-in. And if we look here, it's sort of like, it's not necessarily as high press as Jurgen Klopp's tactic, but it is quite resilient. And as you can see here, I need to start pointing on my screen there, but number 18 is applying pressure here. Number 23 has still got number 2 sort of pocketed, so he's covered. There's not much this guy can really do, because even Ronaldo is, you know, closing this angle down here. Number 18 is about to be right on Bednarek. Number 17 is quite, you know, as soon as if he gets the ball, one of these players can go over here. The only option he's really got is to go back to the goalkeeper or to go into number 6, which he does into Romeo. And then look at this. This is what I love to see. So number 18's realised that I've got to get close. Number 17 has switched on massively. And now it's just whether the matter, he needs to get and win, you know, win the ball back, because the only option this guy now has physically got, he plays it to number 17, he's going to get pressed instantly from number 39, which I believe is Scott McTominay. Romeo can go back. He can go back here. He can go back here, or he can go back here. If he plays this ball in here, that's the only real person that's available, and I'm hoping the number 17 shuts that down. So as we can see here, it looks like he's facing away. So Romeo gets the ball, he cuts back, and look at number 17. He's right in there already. And Romeo forced to play it back from where he come from. No forward progression. So that is how this tactic does act in that sort of way. We can really see how the players make the options so limited for the other team. Bednarek on the ball here. Number 18, which is going to be Bruno Fernandes, pressing him. Obviously, Bednarek here can play it in if he's close and gets a good pass off into Romeo. He can go back here into Forster, or he can go to number 5. If he plays it over the top here, Luke Shaw should be able to win the ball back, hopefully, in an aerial duel. But as you can see, all the way back into Forster. Now, that has reset the play for us. No danger at all. Forster from here can go long. I mean, if he plays it short, which he might do here, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if he does. So he plays it short into Bednarek, and I want you to watch number 39. He's pushed up into midfield to try and win the ball back. Now, that has hopefully this does happen. Okay, he doesn't play the pass. So I was going to say, pretty much, if that pass would have gone into this guy here, the midfielders would drift over and get the press on. So it's not a big deal when a player does push up and try and win the ball back, because there's always cover in there. So Romeo has the ball here, number 18, hot on the heels. Obviously, there is space in here, which means that number 10, which is Rashford, has to get a little bit closer to him. There is also a little bit of space in here for Broja. But to be fair, Harry Maguire, obviously not the quickest defender, but should be able to, you know, get cover him if the ball does go there. But he plays it into Armstrong, and he is so, look how quick he has to offload that ball, because there's number 10, which is Rashford, number 39, which is McTominay, on him in a flash. He's forced to play the ball very quickly, which does end up being a very good pass into Grilicic, I think is how you say that. But he's had to do exactly the same, because Fred's on him like a hot rash. He's got to quickly play the ball through, and it looks like it's going to be trying to go through here. But Varane should win the foot race. It actually goes to the other player. But either centre-back there was just a little bit back, a little bit, behind their man. And because he was forced to play a long ball, or a semi-long ball in behind, the centre-backs weren't going to win it, gifting us possession back. Maguire wins the ball back into Varane, and then this is where we can counter. There's always an option on the ball here. Maguire, look at this run. He is going to spot him. He isn't. But he plays it back into Varane, and as you can see, there's always an option. If Varane decides to play it to Maguire, he can then progress into the midfield with McTominay. If Varane wants to play a wide option, he could play a long ball out here into Shaw, who's in Acres. To be honest, I think he could be just about onside. If Varane wanted to play a long ball, he could play Rashford in behind, or he could play it to Dalot on the wing. So he plays it to Dalot on the wing, and as you can see here, again, number 10 blocking off 17, always an option in Varane. He can play it back. He actually plays a long ball over the top, which doesn't look very good. I personally wouldn't have suggested that pass, but he goes for it anyway. But let's go through to some of the goals in. So it's a long kick. Varane there wins the ball back into Dalot. And as you can see here, we've got an option on the wing, always in Sancho. Plays a wonder ball over the top into Marcus Rashford. And bang, 2-0. This is what I'm going to say, guys. This tactic, you will see beautiful passing spells, but you can also expect to see the occasional long ball played, because there's the options that the players make are really, really good. But that puts us 2-0 up at home against Southampton. And now we have a free kick, which comes in by the looks of it. I don't think anything comes from this, just looking at the top here, but I have got the key highlights on anyhow. But I hope that sort of broke down how difficult it is to play against this side, or just any side with these tactics. Rashford into McTominay, into Shaw, and from here, Luke Shaw, ideally would, go forward with it, but he plays it back into McTominay, and there's always space. Dalot can go back to Varane, he can play it into Fred. He looks like he's going to progress with this, which he does, and he actually takes it past and wins a penalty. So that is where the third goal, that's where it comes from. And the fullbacks in this tactic, they will contribute going forward, but they're not definitely sort of as important as a Klopp, who sort of relies on them fullbacks to really, help with the goals and all of that. But Ronaldo's going to step up, and there's only one result when Ronaldo has a penalty, and that is to score off the post. Accuracy off the post. Not luck, we'll say accuracy. So fair play to him for that. And that puts us 3-0 up. Let's roll on to the next highlight then. So it's Salisu here with a free kick. He plays it short into number 30. And I mean, look, this guy he's now got, he's got two men that are right around him in Dalot and Fernandes. 17 is literally touching Grilicic there. Number 10, he could play the ball through, but then it's going to be one of them situations where he's going to have to play it sort of into this space here. Then Varane could sweep it across, but he looks like he's going to go backwards, which is always good, because if they're not going forwards, not causing damage. Salisu on the ball here, plays it into Steffens. Bruno Fernandes actually really good at pressing in this system. He goes along with it, and luckily Shaw sweeps across, which is always good to see when your defenders are alert and switched on. Maguire with the ball here, plays it into Luke Shaw, and again always an option of McTominay here being number 39. And there he is, he picks it up well. Bruno Fernandes getting in them pockets of space, which is really good to see. And look, the passing is really good. There's always an option on. And this is what I mean. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be tiki-taka, but just watch how this plays. Like, there's always an option. Maguire driving very confidently there, still going with it. And it's really unlucky, because I think that was meant for Ronaldo, but Rashford gets a shot off, and unfortunately it is wide. But just from that little spell, that's the spell I wanted you to see with the passing, because it is really good. Romeo there playing a ball into number 2, which is Walker-Peters. I don't know how these two didn't actually win the ball back, but see how quickly and alert they were to try and win that ball back. Armstrong, McTominay on him like a hot rash. Brozier in the middle, and just like that you've got Scott McTominay hungry for the ball. Also Fernandes coming in. Number 12, which I can't actually click on who that is for Southampton, but he is literally being touched by Fred. He can hardly go anywhere with it, so he has to play it back into number 6, which is Romeo. Ronaldo getting the press going as well. Very good from Ronaldo, and he's had to hit it long again, and it's just easy because Dalot can sweep it up and clean all day long. Sancho on the wing. Fred plays a beautiful ball into Marcus Rashford, just showing how good this system is with not only the short passing, but if you've got the right players to do it, you can also go long and create chances. Back on the edge to McTominay, into Fred, who hits it off sort of, I think that possibly was the bar there actually. So very unfortunate he didn't actually, get a goal from that. Bruno Fernandes with a ball in the box, and there it is, a set piece. I believe it was actually Jadon Sancho that knocks us, gets the goal there. But I would say this tactic is arguably one of the most, it's very good at attacking, but it's also sort of like the amount of ways this can attack. So you can go direct, you can go short with it, but you will also find yourself having loads of possession in games. Against smaller sides, especially in the Premier League, I was averaging sort of 59% to 63% a game, and that is really good because you're dominating the game. Sancho there, very misplaced pass. Adams again, but look at the press, 19 closing in on him. He plays the ball into Brozier, and unless number 17 can sort of get in, there is a bit of space here, which he doesn't. He decides to run with it, and that is just poor defending, to be honest. I'm going to be honest. Armstrong goes through, but that is the first shot they've had at our goal really the entire game. Other than that, the pressing has worked and been really, really good for us. They've got a throw in here into Salisu, who again is sort of just looking for options. The only option he's got is Romeo. Granted to him, he has got good space in there, but he's been forced to go back there into Foster, and again, it's a mistake. Ronaldo's there. Is he going to beat him? He is, and it's a goal. And that is going to be a 5-0 win against Southampton. And if we go down, and we always quickly look at the stats for that game, when I see it, which is here, we did actually have 61% of the ball. We dominated the game, dominated the XG, and that is what you'll typically see. Against the bigger teams, you might see yourself having possibly 55% possession, not as much domination, but it does very well, really well against big teams. In this save, the only real big team I somewhat struggled against was Liverpool. But Man City had a real howler of a season. I mean, they lost, I don't know if they lost Pep or what happened to Pep, but they didn't have a manager after about 13 games. They started off horrifically, and they didn't employ anyone the entire season. So possibly I did get a little bit blessed in that situation, but this tactic, it does dominate, guys. It really does dominate. And now it's going to get to the favourite part of your video. which is the tactic breakdown. So let's get into it. Before we break down this amazing tactic, guys, be sure to hit the video a like and do subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more as well, I do also live stream pretty much once every 2 days, possibly once every 3 days. That's pretty much when I don't upload, I will find time for a live stream. And we are doing a series of Manchester United where we play 26 seasons and try and recreate Sir Alex Ferguson's success. It's going really well so far, but do stop by, say hello in the chat, and I can't wait to see you guys there. But let's break down this Ten Hag tactic. So then, guys, this is going to be the tactic broke down for you. It is a 4-2-3-1. It can also be described as a 4-3-3. He does sort of transition between the two. I personally would call it a 4-2-3-1. It is on this screen, but he does sort of, throughout that Ajax season, and, you know, especially towards like this sort of season before he joined United, he does also sort of play what looks like a 4-3-3. But let's go into the mentality, which is going to be positive. In possession, we've got width, which is on, you know, just on the attacking width here. It's on wide, not, you know, not too wide, but a little bit of width there. Play out of defence is selected. Shorter pass and directness, not all the way down on much shorter, but just on shorter. The tempo on higher, not maxed out, but it is quite a hard, you know, high intensity system. So do be prepared for your players to become tired. So make sure you got a little bit of depth in your team. That's one thing I will say. Nothing else is selected on this at all. Nothing special. It's sort of just left as default, apart from low crosses being selected. In transition, we've got counter press selected, counter attack, distribute quickly, distribute to anyone on the back line, because at the end of the day, as long as we're progressing from the back, it doesn't have to be purely done by the centre backs, and take short kicks selected. Moving on to out of possession, we've got a higher defensive line. Defensive width, we've got force position outside all the way down. So, you know, right all the way down to this section here. Much higher line of engagement. Prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and the trigger press is on much more often. No offside trap, no tighter marking, and on this one, no get stuck in either, which is very unlike my tactics, but not on this one. That is going to be sort of the tactic then, broke down. As I said, if you guys don't want to copy this click for click, I know that can be tedious, you guys can simply download it from the description, just to give you a heads up. But let's go in to the player roles. So starting off in goal, we do have a sweeper keeper, which is on the support duty. You'll know that I'm a big fan of the sweeper keeper on the support duty. I never really play with an attacking goalkeeper, so I don't feel like it's needed. Nothing too special on him. So moving on then to the right back, which is going to be what would be, in this system, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's on the support role. He is told to get further forward and run wide with the ball, dribble more, shorter passing, and nothing else is selected. Because with the fullbacks in this system, guys, it's not like Klopp, and to be honest, it's not as influential as sort of like Pep either with the fullbacks. They're not as important. They are important, but they're not going to be getting a ridiculous amount of assists compared to like what the attacking players will do. So, at the end of the day, the reason why they're on sort of like a support type of duty is because, you know, they do occasionally push forward, like they will get further forward as I've selected, but they're also there for the defence to win the ball back and to help out at the end of the day. And that is the great thing about this tactic, it really is. Moving on to the right-handed centre-back, which is just going to be a central defender on the defend duty. We've got him unbalanced on the trigger press, shorter passing, and nothing else is selected. He is also on the defend duty, not stopper or cover. Very basic for him. This guy's more the, what's the word? He's more of the back line, you know, he's more the security option, because next to him, we do have a ball-playing defender who, although is on the defend duty, he obviously is going to be playing balls out. You might see him push up occasionally. I don't tell him to dribble more with it, but he does sort of, you know, he does get on the ball typically a bit more because he's a ball player, and I feel like having one person next to him whose focus is to purely defend and not sort of worry about playing the ball out, it really does work having one man that's the ball player and one man just a central defender, which you'll see a lot in my tactics. So this definitely is a good option for you guys to have. Moving on to the left back, which is a wing back as well, on the support role as well. It is on get further forward, sit narrower on this side, and run wide with the ball. This player is on dribble more, purely because in the Man United system, Luke Shaw is definitely better at going forward than Wan-Bissaka. Now, what I'm going to say is for you guys, if you're playing with a team that possibly the fullbacks aren't, both of them aren't the best at going forward, like Wan-Bissaka isn't the best at going forward at all. That's why I more, you know, had him more focused on defensive side. then just copy the instructions for Wan-Bissaka and put him on the left back. But if you've got one fullback that is good at going forward, like Luke Shaw's reasonably good at going forward, as we saw in the Euros especially, and that's why I tell him to get a bit more involved. So that is why you see this this fullback have a little bit more freedom, a little bit no leash on him type of thing. But that is completely up to you guys what you decide to do with that. But he's on shorter passing and dribble more, and that is it for him. Moving on then to the midfield. The two in midfield, we've got a box-to-box. You need to have a box-to-box in this, guys, because, trust me, you need a defensive midfielder. The midfield is attacking enough as it is already. We've got a Metzala in there, and obviously, we were the best for conceding goals, so the team sort of defend as a whole, so it's sort of like... And because you win the ball back so quickly, you don't sit back very often. So a lot of the time, you're either winning the ball back successfully, and once you've won it back, we are quite good at maintaining it. So you don't concede a lot of goals, really, as you've seen across both saves. For the box-to-box, we've got him on stay wider just to give a little bit more width to the team. Tackle harder is on, dribble more, and shorter passing is selected, and he is on the support duty. Moving on then to definitely the most attacking midfield two in this, in the two sort of in the midfield, apart from the attacking midfielder there, is the Metzala on attack. So this guy again is very in your face. I would say that this tactic is a very, very attacking formation. As Ten Hag is an attacking manager. He does like to have the ball, but also he loves to create masterclasses up front. He loves to score goals, and you know what? Fair play to him, because I love that too. But he has got tackle harder selected. He's got get further forward, stay wider, shorter passing, dribble more selected as well. Not shoot more often or shoot less often. He can have shots, but it's definitely not a focus of mine to get this player to be taking pop shots, because we've still got 4 players to go through, and they're going to be the players that are going to be getting most of the goals, to be honest with you. But that is what this player does in the Metzala role. Moving on to the... So I would say the talisman, definitely in this save with Bruno Fernandes. We've got an attacker midfielder on the support role. Mentality very attacking. We've got the trigger press on less often. We've got shorter passing selected, dribble more, and take more risks. Because this guy, having this on, got Bruno Fernandes a ridiculous amount of assists. And at the end of the day, he was the star man. I mean, obviously Ronaldo was also... Probably Ronaldo was the star man, scoring that amount of goals, but... Bruno Fernandes played a massive part, and I genuinely think letting him have that sort of, that license to do not what he wants, but, definitely going forward, don't restrict him too much, and let him dribble more, let him take a few more risks, and he will, he'll pay you back with assists, and that's all you can ask for. Moving on then to the left-hand side, which is going to be an inside forward on the attack role. Get further forward, cut inside with ball, trigger press on less often, shorter passing, and that is it for that, guys. Very, very simple indeed. A lot of these are simple because, I feel like once I show you the 2D sort of breakdown, that shows how they actually play. So this is just going over it. And I know a lot of you guys anyway would rather just click the download link. I know when I've tested tactics before, I definitely prefer to click download instead of copy it click for click. Moving on to the right hand side then, we have got exactly the same. We've got trigger press on less often, get further forward, cut inside, and shorter passing. I don't tell him to shoot more or less often, because at the end of the day, the wingers, if you've got wingers that can shoot, then it's great. But for me, I don't want to purely tell them to shoot more often in case it does affect how many chances our forward player gets. And obviously, Ronaldo was definitely the star man for me in this save. So I wanted him to be the man that was getting majority of the chances. So moving on then to what is going to be the talisman, which is going to be Ronaldo, who actually... Well, you'll be surprised by this, because the amount of goals that he got. He is actually a false 9 on support, and Ten Hag is known for playing a false 9. Obviously, he uses Dusan Tadic for that quite a bit. And what a false 9 doesn't necessarily mean that they won't score goals, as you've seen with Ronaldo. But basically, it means that he will drop into midfield to win the ball back, and obviously, this tactic is purely about winning the ball back. So, obviously... The more fit your player is, the better he'll be at doing this. The more stamina, the better he'll be. But he will also get goals. But the only instructions I've got on him is to tackle harder, shorter passing, and that is it. I don't tell him to shoot more often. I don't tell him to dribble, any more of that. Because at the end of the day, Ronaldo is getting 70 plus goals a season in a false 9 role. And there's plenty of strikers that can do this. Just because a false 9, it depends how you sort of use a false 9 player, right? Because at the end of the day, in our Liverpool, or our clock tactics, sorry, Firmino or Jota necessarily weren't getting loads of goals, but it doesn't mean that a false nine can't get goals. As you've seen, Ronaldo scoring 70 plus goals in one season, which is absolutely incredible. But trust me, this tactic is definitely worth a try. I really did enjoy making it. It took me about 2 to 3 seasons on different saves to try and master this tactic. Trust me, it's taken a while to make, but I really like making manager recreations of tactics. I've got a few more lined up, but as always, guys, you know, you're the reason why I make content. I love interacting with you guys. So if you guys have got suggestions on any managers you want me to recreate, or possibly just like a formation you want to see work, then do comment it below and I'll do my best to try and make it for you. But that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video as much as I made making it, because trust me, I really did have a good time making this. Please do leave the video a like. Drop a comment below as mentioned before. Please do subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you're going to get notified when I upload, when I do a community post, and when I live stream. Definitely pop by a stream if you can, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.